Hello, this is Roland. Today I want to continue with my series of talks about Chapter 2, and I plan to do the whole book, A Short and Very Easy Method of Prayer by Madame Jeanne Guyon. This book is a spiritual classic. It has various titles in English: Finding God Through Prayer, Experiencing the Depths of Jesus Christ. It's in a book called Spiritual Progress that was published a long time ago. Okay. In French, she called it A Short and Very Easy Method of Prayer that anyone can practice. Okay, that's what she called it. And she didn't even intend for it to be a big top-selling book or anything. She made a few little notes and put a little something together, probably to share with friends, and somehow, fortunately for everyone, it became a book. Now, I understand the book, and I understand her. I consider her to be a kindred spirit. And I would like to share with you what she found. Okay? Now let's talk about it. The problem with people today, it's the problem with the human race from the very beginning. See, in the very beginning, Adam and Eve lived in paradise. But when Adam fell, when he ate of the forbidden food, everything changed. And how is it that Adam came to eat of this forbidden food? He had been told not to. Why would he do such a dumb thing? Well, he was a little bit naive. He had no idea what he was getting into, okay? No idea. But Adam had a weakness. He wanted to be prideful. He wanted to do his own thing. And the idea of being able to run his own show and be a big, important person with knowledge, and it appealed to his ego. Okay? Well, if you were in Adam's place, you would have made the same mistake. Okay? You would have made the same mistake. Because look at you now. People appeal to your ego. They say if you have knowledge, why, if you get a college degree, you're going to be happy. If you study hard, you're going to be happy. If you win the game, you're going to be happy. See? If you win the big game for the team, for the school, you're going to be happy. See? If you get this good job, you're going to be happy. If you get a promotion, you're going to be happy. See? If you wear these certain clothes or get this car or get a facelift, see? You can be happy. Over and over again, they keep appealing to your pride. See? If you join this group, join this church, join this organization, join this gang, you're going to be happy. Get married, you're going to be happy. See? And it comes down to very crass, sometimes very lowly and crass comforts too. We're offered food or images on the internet or something, jewelry, see, and we go for it. Even though, don't you kind of know, if you know that it's not going to make you happy because you've had so many experiences with different things that you've bought, paid too much for. And then, of course, there's the promises. Well, if you consolidate your debt, if you get this mortgage, this low, I'm laughing because there's just so many. I can't even think of them all. You know, whatever appeals to your ego, you end up going, even though you kind of know it's not true. It's too good to be true. What do they say? If it's too good to be true, then it probably isn't true. Right? Well, you kind of know that, don't you? You kind of know that, but you go for it anyway. Well, what happens? Because you set reality aside and you get lost in the idea, the images in your mind, and the feelings. See, someone, an advertiser, a person, a teacher, a coach, a motivator, a preacher, a leader, whoever, they know how to talk and paint. See, they talk a good game, don't they? They know how to talk. They have this patter. See, they go talk and talk and talk about how you can be great or beautiful or handsome or popular. See, popular. This music is going to make you happy. Just buy this music or go to this concert. See? Well, then, so you picture in your mind. You have an image, picture in your mind, you picture it. See, and then you feel the feelings that goes along with that picture. And reality is set aside. And now the image, the imaginative image, the visualized image comes to the fore. And then you follow it. See? And then the morning after the night before, when you buy the new car, and then you find out it's not as great as you thought and the bills are higher than you thought. See, there's always fine print, right? They always promise you, and they never deliver on all the promises, do they? It's never as good as, see, there's always fine print. So you got the idea. You see you have this weakness, the same weakness Adam had. It's not your fault, you inherit it. It's not your fault, you're born with it. You inherit it. Now Adam had the pure choice. He was in paradise. He had not yet fallen. It was a test, okay? It was a test to see whether he loved God more than selfish advantage. You see, but see, the serpent was very clever. Didn't say the serpent was the most clever. I forget how it's worded. But the serpent was very clever. He knew how to paint word pictures and to get Adam lost in his imagination. And then from the imagination, then Adam went for it. See, he set aside reality. He listened to the words of his wife, who was coached by the serpent. And then everything changed, and he fell, and he was kicked out of paradise. And now look around you. Now it's a jungle hell. It's a jungle hell. See, so can we find our way back? See, that's the thing. Can we find our way back? There's a lot of beautiful stories and fairy tale, like The Wizard of Oz, for example. Beautiful story. You know, the original movie was quite not good. We all remember, those of us who are older. Those of you who are younger, you may not have seen the original Wizard of Oz movie with Judy Garland. If you have a chance, you really ought to. But the books were also good. There's Mr. Baum, L. Frank Baum, I think his name was. He wrote the Wizard of Oz, and then there were other books in the same series, the Ozma of Oz, the Emerald Princess of Oz, and many others. They're all wonderful stories to enjoy. When I was a boy, I loved them. And as an adult, you can read them. Okay? But the idea is that she wanted to find her way home, getting back home again. Well, that's what don't we all have a sense of wanting to go home again? We have a yearning. Some of us hear music that we heard when we were younger, or we remember what do they say, the halcyon days of yore. We remember better times. And they were better times because we were more innocent. See, the times, it wasn't so much that the times were better, although they undoubtedly were, because things are deteriorating. See, evolution is a lie, or the idea that we're getting better and better. Things are not getting better. We're getting worse. We are devolving as individuals, as a race. We've reached the lowest ebb right now. Just look around you. Look at this world. But the point is, things probably were better when you were younger. But even if they weren't better, you were better. And how were you better? You were more innocent. You weren't as corrupt as you are now. You weren't as corrupt as you are now. And that applies to you even if you are even if you're a relatively decent person. You know, you live at home, you go to work, you go shopping, you watch a little TV, you text your friends, you go to a community activity. See, you're a decent person. You're still more corrupt now. So you remember those days, okay? When you were more innocent and the world was brighter. Remember when you were a child or a young person or a teen or in your 20s? The world was brighter. Well, would you like to find the world even brighter? Much brighter than it was when you were a child. Would you like that? Well, okay. Then you know what you need? You need to get closer to God. Why were you more innocent? Why was the world brighter when you were younger? It's because you were closer to God. See? And how did you fall away from God? Well, some people fell away. There are zillions of ways, which I have already alluded to. Reaching for something out in the world, wanting something too much, believing the lies, wanting to be big, wanting to be popular, putting the cart before the horse. Christ said, put first the kingdom of God in his right way, and all other things will be added to you. They put first the kingdom of God. But what do? We make the other things more important. The ball game, the food, the shopping. See? Whatever. So how do we become corrupt? How do we fall away from God? See? Remember I said you were closer to God when you were a child. When you were a little tiny child, you were the closest to God you ever been. And how did you fall away? Well, I'll list some of the big ways. Hating, resenting, judging someone, resenting your dad for not being there for you, your mom for being too much, resenting other kids because they were prettier than you or handsomer than you, resenting a teacher's pet, resenting other kids who were popular, or had something nice that you didn't have, or were better at sports or better at academics. See, resenting them. Or resenting them for their cruelty. Undoubtedly, there was cruelty. There was tease, meanness, betrayal, okay? Which is not pleasant. But you made the mistake of hating, resenting, and judging, okay? So some people become completely corrupted by judging. See, a woman can judge her father who wasn't there for her, and then go out in the world looking for love, and have experiences with men in the world and who use her instead of loving her, and then she judges them, hates, resents them. Then she starts judging all men and hating all men. Then she gets married, and her husband, she can't stop judging him. See, judgment. She becomes totally addicted to judgment and corrupted by judgment. Okay? So there's a lot of different ways, but I mentioned, and then the other way is, of course, just some kind of ambition. It doesn't have to be ambition to be a big, powerful person. It can just be wanting to win the game, making winning the game too important. See? So we fall away from God. And then, of course, there are things like, and then as we become guilty, now here's what happens. See, God gives us intuition, a wordless way of knowing. When you were a little child, remember if you got angry at your mom, you were mean to your brother or something, remember how you felt bad inside? You felt bad. That was your conscience. Okay? Well, you still have it. But you know what that is? That's God's inner light. It's an inner light from God. Now, if you had always stayed close to your conscience, let's suppose that you did something when you were a little child or when you were a teen or a young adult or whatever. You did something wrong. You were mean to somebody, or you were phony with them, or you betrayed them. See? Or you said something mean behind somebody's back. See? If every time you did one of those things, which the question is, why would you want to do those things in the first place? See, you were under some kind of influence already, which means you already were. See? Or you took drugs, you went out with the other kids and you took drugs, or you took alcohol, see? You came under wrong influence. Just like Adam did. Remember, Adam came under the wrong influence of the serpent. Through his wife, it was the serpent. See? But if every time you had strayed, and then your conscience made you aware that you had erred, if every time that happened, you would have, instead of reaching for an excuse or rationale, or reaching for some distraction, or reaching for your iPhone, or reaching for the television, or reaching for food, or reaching for more drugs, or more marijuana, see, or reaching out to other people to tell you that you're okay, if you had just bared the little bit of pain of your conscience, see, and reconciled with conscience right away, instead of trying to deny conscience, if you had immediately scurried back to your conscience, then you would have been okay. Okay? But what you did is you made the classic mistake. You resented your conscience because it made you feel bad, and you didn't want to feel bad. And you didn't want to admit you were wrong either. See? So you denied conscience. You denied God his moment. There his light was. What you could admit in your heart that I resented my mom. Yeah, I was mean to my friend. Yeah, I was... See, whatever. But you denied that moment. And you didn't want to admit you were wrong, and so you had to go out and look for support out in the world, or from food, or drugs, or whatever, see? So there's something about, so we want to come back to God. Now you see the protocol. See, the protocol is you have to wait for God to, you have to yearn for God, and then wait for him to make your conscience a little bit stronger so you can become aware of what it is. See, now you're so far from your conscience, you have no idea what you're doing wrong or what errors you're making. See, all you see is that your life is getting messed up. You're making wrong decisions with wrong timing. You're saying the wrong thing, making the wrong choices. And things aren't working out. Your relationships aren't working out. Things just aren't working out. So that's proof positive that you're under wrong influence from the world. See? Wrong influence. Well, how are you going to know? You can't know until you can see the wrong influence in God's light. Then you'll see, oh, okay, that's what, I'm not going to go that way. You just have to see it in the light. So now you have to wait for conscience to appear so that you can sit still for it. Okay, and bear the little bit of pain of your conscience and reconcile with conscience. Okay? Now the other thing is you have to scurry back. Scurry back. Withdraw within. Recollect yourself, as Madame Guyon says, or Miguel Molinos, who wrote The Spiritual Guide, also a very good book, talked about recollecting, pulling within, drawing back. See? Instead of reaching out for something to distract you, something to comfort you, something to make you feel good, something to lie to you. See, instead, pull back. Recollect. Pull yourself. Stand back. Stand back from the lying images that parade in your mind and lie to you. See? Stand back from the lying emotions, see, that lie to you. Stand back, see, and thereby, see, it doesn't mean that you can't go out in the world and do things, but if you go out in the world and do things with that little bit of distance, a little bit of a distant feeling, so you're not so close, so you don't get caught up in, totally lost in something. Every time you get lost in something, even if it's a conversation on the cell phone or a television program or music or anything you get lost in, something you want, see, they want you to get lost. The advertisers, the stores, they want you to go into the store. You don't see any clocks on the wall. Clock might remind you that you're spending too much time there. You don't see anything that reminds you of anything important in the store, do you? No, all you see is colors and a maze of aisles, see, to get lost in. They want you to get lost in the experience. Then you end up making wrong choices, spending too much money, see? Anyway, so now let's read a tiny bit from Madame Guyon with this backdrop. Now you see, you need to get back to God's presence. closer to God, which like you were when you were a little child. And you need to be sensitive to delicate promptings of your conscience and your intuition. Okay, so let's take a quick peek at what Madame Guyon has to say here. I'm reading from chapter 2. She says, when we are thus fully entered into ourselves and warmly penetrated throughout with a lively sense of the divine presence, when the senses are all recollected and withdrawn from the circumference to the center, and the soul is sweetly and silently employed on the truths we have read. She's talking about if you sat down with some spiritual book and read just a little bit, just read a little bit until all of a sudden something stands out, see? And then you're content with that. You don't keep reading, you stop with that, okay? And kind of meditate on it, upon it, see? Delicately. Then she says, and silently employed on the truths we have read, not in reasoning, but in feeding thereon, and animating the will by affection, rather than fatiguing the understanding by study. Animating the will by affection. In other words, realizing a truth or seeing a truth and loving that truth. Okay? Loving that truth. Rather than fatiguing the understanding by study. See, if you get lost in study, that's hypnotic. That's also a reaching away from God. A lot of people fall away from being close to God, which they were when they were little children, because they get lost in study. Concentrating, focusing. Isn't that what we're told to do? Focus, concentrate, whether it's in sports or anything. But that concentrating. See, when I read lightly. I scan. I scan for truths. I scan for clues, for nuggets. Okay? And then she says, we must allow, the affections are in the state. We must allow them sweetly to repose, and as it were, swallow what we have tasted. But as I have said, I'm reading Madame Guyon, chapter 2 of her book, A Short and Very Easy Method of Prayer. But as I have said, that our direct and principal exercise should consist in the contemplation of the divine presence, we should be exceedingly diligent in recalling our dissipated senses. Okay, what she's saying here is that, incidentally, you can find this online, or if you want, I can send you send me an email, or go to my website, and for a small donation, $2 or whatever, I'll send you a PDF by email of this book here. This is the most literal translation, what I'm reading. There are other ones, which are good. Experiencing the depths of Jesus Christ, which is the seed sower press. It's excellent, because they did a nice job, and they captured the spirit of it. But this one is the most literal. This is from Spiritual Progress. She's saying here that the whole point is to be closer to God. Okay, that's the point. Not to study, not to get knowledge, just to experience, sitting quietly, and experiencing reality, and being closer to God. Okay? So she said we should be exceedingly diligent in recalling our dissipated senses. When she says recalling, she means standing. What she means is when I say standing back. See, not reaching out for more excitement, more emotions, more sensual things, but standing back, okay? As a most easy method of overcoming distractions. For a direct contest only serves to irritate and augment them. So what she's saying is that, she's saying don't struggle with distractions. Because there are plenty of them in the world, aren't there? There are plenty of distractions. If you struggle with them, all you do is give them power. No, you don't want to struggle with them. You don't want to give up and float away with them, see, on the one hand, or struggle with them on the other. she says, whereas by sinking within, under a view by faith of a present God, and simply recollecting ourselves, we wage insensibly a very successful, though indirect, war with them. So, you see, just standing back and observing the distraction, the naughty thought, the pull of things upon you. Just observe it. Don't struggle with it. Just observe. Stand back and observe it. See, pull it, withdraw, pull, recollect within, and observe. Okay. So I'm going to stop at this point. I think I think this is enough for now. And that's why I made the meditation, incidentally, that I have. It's very nice. What it is, it's a little tool. See, the whole thing is, if you come back to God, it'll be because your soul is yearning to. See, you go the other way. For a long time you went out into the world, and some people always will. They go for the excitement, for the naughty, for the tease, for the challenge. See, that's the way they go. Their ego is excited by it. And that's the only thing that they know, and that's all they want. And they don't want to come back to truth. They don't want to realize their own wrong. See, they want to have illusions about themselves. But some of us, we want to come back to something good, to something pure, something innocent, to something sweet. Okay? We want to get back what we once had and grow. See, we see ourselves deteriorating and growing in the wrong direction. We want to grow in the right direction. So, Madame Guyon's book is right on the money. I mean, she's right, she's spot on. But you need a little help. Most people are too lost in their television and video games and thinking and imagination. And people are just, a modern person is totally lost in their imagination and images. So you need a little help. So all this is just a little tool, the meditation, that facilitates your refinding, your being able to sit still and recollect yourself, as Madame Jeanne says, pull within and get a little closer to God and become aware of the inner light in which you can realize things. Okay? So it just helps, that's all. So I've made it free. I call it easy meditation. It's free. Okay. My name is Roland.